Welcome to the Coaching Gym Open Practice. Our last one in March. We do 2 a month. We do this for 2 reasons. One, to give people an opportunity to come and check out what the gym is about. And also as a place for people who, if the membership doesn't make sense, but you want to come a couple times a month and just practice, that's what this is for. There's no limit to how many of these you can do. And we do different topics each time. And we're learning as we go how to bring more value into these open practices. And so for some of you who have been to the beginning, it's fun. Like, well, one of the things we're seeing is we really want to have more equal, like, kind of exploration time. And really the gym is really about hands-on laboratory experimentation with reflection. And so we want to make sure you guys have a really good experience of that today in all of these open practices. So this week's is about coaching beyond the no.
I did add the hands.
I know, like, ooh. And one of the things that as we've been exploring this and deepening into it all week in the coaching gym, and one of the things we really saw is, man, we could do a whole month intensive on this coaching, and I would call it serving and coaching beyond the no. There's just such rich territory. And that's something we've been seeing in practices in the gym, is like, wow. And so that would be the first thing I would invite us all to consider, is just how rich this territory is. And I can just speak for myself, but in my earlier years of growing my coaching business, I didn't even tap into this wealth of opportunity. And it's taken me a lot longer in my career to realize just how much is here. So that's just the first thing I want to invite us all to consider. And, in the coaching gym, our overarching umbrella of the whole container is an endless inquiry of what does it mean to serve another person powerfully? And we don't intend to ever actually answer that question, but live into the deepening of the inquiry. And so I want to put that as a context around this exploring, coaching and serving beyond the no. Because everything that we do here is in service to another person, not in service to us. So it's not coaching beyond the no. We're not going to be looking at it in the context of how do I get them to a yes, how to buy my products and services. It's not that. It's what's here in the no. And is there an opportunity for me to serve even more powerfully? So I would like to invite you all, if you haven't already, just to take a moment to reflect on what your experience has been of receiving no's from possible clients. What's that historically been like for you? When you have a potential to work with a client and it doesn't go somewhere, what tends to come up for you in your experience? And I'd love to take a couple shares.
I typically go to judgment, either judgment of myself or judgment of the person. Like, I have to find a reason, an excuse. So somebody has to be wrong. And depending on, where I'm at energetically, it just feels better to blame them.
Can anybody relate? Has anybody ever done that before? That one. You're probably not alone with that one, Barbara. Yeah.
It's not very, it's not very useful for sure, but that tends to be, and then I can see patterns. Like, I jump into coaching before there's a commitment, or trying to push too hard versus like feel my way through. And I love this idea of serving beyond the no, especially what you just said, Demi, is what is here in the no, and is there an opportunity for me to serve more powerfully? Like, I think it takes the sting almost a way of the no. So I'm excited for this practice.
Cool. Yeah. Bernie.
Hey everyone. So I was expecting disappointment to come up when, what comes up, but first thing that came up was sometimes there's relief. And I was like, oh my God, what is that about? It's like, I'm not good enough to coach him, and maybe I can't help him succeed. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting that came up most strongly for me right now.
Me too. I've had that happen too, Bernie. Sometimes it's disappointment, sometimes it's relief, and sometimes it's other things. So yeah, I love this. Thank you for sharing that, Katie.
Sure.
Yeah, so we've been exploring this for about a week in the gym. So I've had the luxury of having a bunch of conversations about it, which have been super great. And it's just taken me deeper and deeper. And one of the things that I'm seeing about it right now is like if I'm enrolled in something and I'm excited about it and I bring it to somebody and they say no, that can feel bad. Like I don't like how that feels. And I hadn't always had the courage to inquire beyond that because I also felt like it was disrespectful. Like they said, no, leave them alone. But what I'm getting curious about now as I'm looking at it more and more in the gym is just this sense of like an energetic yes with a verbal no. And I know that if this was taken out of context, it could sound really creepy or sleazy, but like, this idea that like sometimes someone presents something to us and we really want it, but we're afraid we can't, like we're not gonna be able to rise to the occasion. Like we don't know if we have the potential or the possibility to do it, or cash is an issue and it's got a pretty big price tag on it. So like I'm just seeing new and fresh right now that when there's an energetic yes but a verbal no, or the other way around, like an energetic no but sort of a wanting to please the person and kind of saying yes, that to me always seems like a place where more inquiry could be really rich and beautiful. And that to me is kind of going to be one of my, like, anyways, I don't know if I even answered your question, Demi, but I just said what wanted to come out of my mouth.
That's what this is about right now. Is this like what's here in the space, or like this as we contemplate delving into this inquiry, what's top of mind, or what are you aware of? Erica.
Yeah, I love that. Katie, that's such a good point that I wasn't even thinking about, but I've definitely been in that situation where the energy all says yes, but then they say no. And I'm like, what? So that's super helpful. It's like kind of qualifying the no. Like, what is that? What was that about? But I was initially thinking, for me, I think what comes up is, because I just notice in general that I have noise around, did I, like, being misunderstood? So I'm always like, did I articulate what's on offer clearly enough? Did I show the value? Because if I did and they get it in their own separate reality, but like if they get it, somehow it's translated to their reality and it's a no, cool. But I get like, oh, did I just like not say that the way I meant it? So that's what comes up for me.
I love that, Erica. Have you ever asked that question? I'm curious.
Yes, I think I've gotten better at it because I noticed this in myself.
Yeah.
So yes, I have started to.
Ooh, I'd love to hear more. I mean, like that's so cool. First of all, because I mean, I think it's, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Steve Chandler's work. I think he's got some brilliant stuff on this topic. And one of the things that he always says is yes lives in the world of no. Yeah. I mean, like just take that in for a second. Yes. What does that mean? Like, is it like what does that mean to you right now? We'll probably look at that again at the end of our practice to see what we're seeing new about it. But even just considering yes lives in the world of no. And if you look at like, if we go upstream just a tiny bit for a minute, and Katie, I'm going to pass the baton. I think this is like, you're such an amazing upstream guider. Like, what's the nature of a no? I'm going to pass it to you, Katie.
Yeah, well, I mean, life, like aliveness is like yes energy to me, you know, it's like life is just, it's always there inviting us into a yes. And, you know, we talked a lot about context in our last open gym, and we talked a lot about context in the last week in the gym. And one of the things that we realized is context helped shine the light on the areas where there wasn't enough information to make a qualified decision. And often we're just a no until we can see the yes. And there's something around holding that possibility for a client and not slipping into the, oh no, if they say no, it means something about me and my coaching and what I have on offer. You know, but I think there's just something really beautiful to like what are we all trying to say yes to? You know, like on a deeper energetic level, and how do I just help the client remove those barriers, even if it doesn't equal buying with you, but it equals getting a lot more clarity on what they want, what they're ready for, and how you can serve them powerfully, because working with you might not be the highest form of service for that person. And when I think when we hold that very lightly and know that it could very well be very helpful for them, very transformational, but it might not be the most powerful thing, then I think we become this detective looking for like the sacred yes instead of the, you know, or the sacred no, but which leads to an opposite for them, which then leads them to their sacred yes, whatever that might be in the moment.
I love that. And you know, I love it. That's exactly how kind of what's been coming to light for me through this week in the gym too, Katie, is this idea of, and just, you know, Steve Chandler's quote of like, yes lives in the world of no. It's like, I'm seeing so much more about it in this beautiful way. And it, you know, because life is a yes. Life is a blossoming, it's emerging. It's also a yes to death and to rebirth and to growth. And part of that growth is falling down and getting back up. It's like, it's just a yes to everything. And a no, if you think about, you know, if you think about the times in your life when you've been a very clear no to something, like in my experiences, I think about my own experiences of the times when I was a very clear no to something. It was almost a yes beyond that. It's almost like, yes, I'm a no to this, because I'm no longer in this limbo of not knowing. I'm a no to this, which opens up now to like the space to see where I am a yes to.
Well, and while that still looks scary to you to get someone to that point, it's probably not that likely that you'll opt to do it, that you'll get excited about it, right? And that was me. Like when someone would say no, I would have this whole story about how, well, they said no, leave them alone, don't pressure them. Like, you know, maybe if you keep pressing them, they're going to tell you what a loser you are. You don't want to hear that. So maybe just don't, you know, like just leave it alone, walk away. But the more we see about the magic of them getting to a really solid something, whether that's a really solid yes or a really solid no for now, you know, that's magic. Then we've created magic. We've created something real with that person, and we've completed a circle. It's not this open-ended thing. And, you know, I was talking with another one of our members the other day, and we got to have a chat because it was just the two of us in a room. And she was bringing up some of the people that she had worked with that were kind of vague no's, and talking about how energetically draining that felt. And it was so interesting because I realized that until we close that loop and we get that like that solid yes or no from somebody, it can feel very draining. Like, oh, are they a prospect? When should I get a hold of them? Might they work with me in the future? Where do I stand with them? Am I bugging them, or am I keeping in touch with them? And so it was a really neat exploration around that too. I think it gives both you and the client, it's like a form of leadership where you're taking them to the completion of a cycle as opposed to leaving them partway through. Again, and one of the ways that I notice that is if the energetic answer doesn't match the verbal answer.
Bernie.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is, okay, so I am a recovering people pleaser, which would mean I would say yes when my inside was saying no. And that's changed. I think the principles really help with that. But I'm aware that my no was a no to their request because it was a yes to something inside of me. So that I'm really clear. There's always, but there's usually a yes within the no. I'm saying yes to me, to my needs, my priorities, and I really love that idea of you're getting people to close the loop. It's like get them to a hell yes or hell no, and the no is maybe could also be described as not now, because it's no now, but it might be a yes in the future. So there's a couple of things that came up for me.
I love that. That was something, Cece, I don't know if you want to share. Cece brought up this really beautiful point in the gym this week that it helped me see more about that too. Because I'm also, I would identify as a recovered people pleaser. Cece, do you want to share what you shared in the gym this week? Am I putting you on the spot?
Trying to recall what I was saying at this point. I just had an incredible CTI meeting, so I'm just like, my mind is. I would actually say, Demi, if you summarize it, it's going to be a lot clearer.
Yeah. I didn't want to steal your beautiful share. So I'll just give this to Cece, the credit to Cece. But Bernie, it was what I saw from what Cece helped me point to and see is that when I say yes and I mean no, I am not with other people's no as cleanly as I can be. And the more that I've been able to say no when I mean no, yes when I mean yes, it's had this really interesting impact in my capacity to be with other people's no's. And they don't seem, it's more fluid. They're like, when I would say yes and I mean no, I just had so much meaning around yeses and no's that was interfering with my capacity to be with somebody else's no in a way that my stuff wasn't coming up. And I thought that was really interesting. I think, one of the things I'm seeing too in this conversation, it's like, what Michael talks about, this idea of not having a horse in the race. In our enrollment conversations, have no horse in the race. Does everybody know what I mean by that? Okay. Like, having it not be about me, like, my bet on this horse, I want it to win. I need it to get to somewhere.
You've major bets on any horses.
Yes, exactly.
Enjoy watching the ponies run.
Yes, exactly. Very making me busy, like, oh, come on. But, if I really don't have a horse in the race, I can serve somebody really powerfully around there now. And it's become one of my favorite places to be and play with and explore. Now, if I have a horse in the race, which I sometimes do, today, I call myself out and call coaching a no for now if I have a horse in the race. I've done that. I just did that recently and it was like, oh, but if I have a horse in the race, I really can't serve him beyond the no. I'm really cautious now about getting into any kind of contracting. If I notice a horse in the race, I wait until it's gone. That's a tangent. So never mind, but that's just kind of what my experience is for me of having a horse in the race. Well, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because I want to jump into the practice because I suspect we'll see more. Barbara and Bernie, you guys both have a share. Do you want to do it just really quick before we do the breakout rooms?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I've jumped in first. Can I go first?
Yeah.
It's good for Bernie. It's good for you to jump in first, Bernie.
Not having a horse or having a horse in the race, as soon as we see it, that can be enough for it to disappear. So it can go in the moment because it's just made of thought. And of course, sometimes it carries on. But yeah, that's what struck me is it doesn't need time to fade away. And
some time. sometimes the recent one for me, I told you guys about that neuroscientist I was, so excited to work with because I loved what he was up to. I couldn't get my horse out of the race in 3 conversations. So I called it a friendship. And now we're just developing this friendship. And guess what's happening? My horse is gone. And I'm like, oh, maybe I could serve you. But intuition will guide you on how to get your horse out of the race if that's what you want. And you're right, Bernie. Sometimes it is just noticing it and like, let me regroup here. But what you're pointing to, Bernie, that I think is so profound is just our capacity to notice. Barbara, did you want to share something before our breakout room?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that the hurdle that I'm often overcoming and thought on this subject is they were nudged to reach out. Like it started with a belief on their part that they not only wanted some kind of a solution, but they specifically wanted my help. Right. So I have this belief going into enrollment calls, like it's almost like it's mine to lose. In other words, because like I didn't pursue them, they pursued me, kind of thing. Right. And so I often have so much on this of they really want this, like don't screw it up because they're already a yes. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just they wanted the solution, they specifically wanted my help with the solution, almost like they're already sold. So then what happens in the conversation that they go from not being sold, like being sold to not being sold? Like I wrote down the question, so what do you need to know and experience so that we're both a yes to the coaching together? Like to me, that's almost like so clean to just like, let's put it out there and start with the truth because we're always going to end with it.
Yeah, I mean, what occurs to me as I hear you say that, Barbara, is how certain are you that they're already a yes?
Well, that's the whole thing, is like my story is that if they didn't specifically want that solution or my help, they wouldn't have reached out. Like wisdom wouldn't have nudged them in that way. And so then in my linear mind, the only thing that could stop it then would be ego jumping in. And that's like to serve. What
I
is that?
think that's making an assumption that their mind might work like your mind does.
Mm.
My mind works similar to your, like when we see something we want, we're very similar in that way, Barbara. I know you like, so, and that's been something that I've had to really notice too. Like people, like if I reach out to a coach to see about working with them, I am like already 99% sure I'm going to do it. And and if they get in my way, I get them out of the way and get the job done. You and I are both like that, but I realized not everybody's like that. And so you actually can only, from your separate reality, come up with an idea of why you think they're reaching out to you, what they want, and where you think they already are. You can only think, And so I wonder, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to say too much more about it. We'll go into it because I think this game and that what we're going to play is just going to bring up a lot of juicier stuff on the other side. So I say, Katie, you have something. Let's want to hear from you, and then let's jump into the exercise.
Yeah, and I won't belabor it, but there's also a little something about like sometimes I think we try and get people to a yes or a no at the end of the first call, and there's something very intuitive about figuring out if another call is needed. Sometimes I'll get anxiety about like, oh, I've got to propose to them at the end of this call now, but it just still doesn't feel like the right time to do it. And just maybe using that context to set yourself up, like, we're not going to talk about contracting until I feel like there's something I can really serve you on. So we're going to just keep having this conversation, in the meantime. Like there's something around that, because I sometimes feel like a no can just come from, again, like they're not enrolled in the vision yet, and that takes time. But anyways, that's not something we have to overly chat about today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so the game we're gonna play is it's kind of fun. So you're going to be in a breakout room with one other person. Okay. And you're going to have, you're going to switch roles. So you're going to be a coach with a package and a proposal to offer this person. So you can come up with anything. If you're wanting to play around with saying different numbers, we suggest you play with numbers here. Okay. Put a package together with a number that you want to play with. Okay. You're going to go right into making an offer here. Okay. And the person you're making an offer to, it's their job to say no. In whatever way occurs to them to say, you just have to be a no. Okay. So that's the first part of the exercise. The second part of the exercise, as soon as they say no, we're going to go into like my favorite game in the coaching gym, which is mirror coaching. Okay. We do this in the coaching gym, not just around the no, but in other things. And it's just been one of the most surprisingly impactful practices. And I think you guys are going to love it. So once the person says no to you, your job is to check in with yourself and notice what's here in your experience. What are you present to? What are you noticing? What's coming up for you? What are you aware of? So you can take as much time as you want, and then the script is this. You can have this script. When I hear you say that, this is what comes up for me. This is what I'm present to. You might notice that a physiological sensation, when I hear you say that, I notice that I feel constricted in my throat for some reason. You might notice a thought emerge. When I hear you say that, this thought comes up for me. Is it okay with you if I share it? Or you might notice a mood or a feeling or sensation. I'm noticing when I hear you say that, I'm noticing some curiosity emerge for me. So you're going to share what is in your experience. And this, I want to invite you to also practice. Last open practice, we played with context. So I'm going to invite you to also play around with context, because you want to have whatever you share and reflect back be a gift. It's in service to that person. It's not in service to you. So it is, I'm noticing, it might be, wow, I'm noticing I'm getting disappointed. Is that in service to them? May or may not be, but I might, if I want to share it in this game, I'm going to invite you to share whatever really comes up. That's what the coaching gym, this is a place to get messy. So just share whatever, but you can also play with setting context. I'm noticing something coming up for me, and it feels rather vulnerable to share. I'm not actually sure why this is coming up, but I'm noticing I'm feeling disappointed when I hear you say that. Okay, so that's the first part of the script. The second part is, when you hear me share that, I'm curious what comes up for you. Okay. And then you give them space to share. As they're sharing, you're really checking in with what is your experience? What's coming up for you? What are you noticing? So you're observing them, but we cannot know what their experience is. They're saying no, but they feel like a yes to me, but we can't know, but we can ask. Well, I notice when I hear you say that, I don't feel convinced, but that could just be me. So play around with setting context in this too, in a way that is disarming with what you share. It's not going to rev up their thinking, and you're sharing it in the cleanest way possible. Because we know that our experience is our experience. It's not coming from them. So we want to really not put any of our experience on them. I'm noticing when I hear you say that, I get sad. That can be a way, there can be just a little bit of an innuendo. I'm noticing that you're making me sad when I hear you say that. Rather, I'm noticing when you hear that, say that, I'm noticing some sadness emerge for me. In my experience, I'm not sure where that's coming from. It could just be me. So you play around if you want to, with sharing it in a way that you're totally owning your experience. And then I'm curious when you hear me say that, what comes up for you. So you're going to go back and forth doing that. As the coach, you're using the script. The other person is not. They're just sharing, when what came up for them when they heard you say that. Okay. And then we'll switch roles. Okay. So, anything to add to that, Katie?
No, I don't think so. We might do this multiple times. So the only other thing that I want to add is like this is a game in service to building more comfort and confidence around just having these types of conversations. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, maybe I would never actually say it like that to a client. You know, we're not so much modeling exactly what we would do, but we're just taking an idea and we're putting it out there with, you know, as much authenticity as we can. And then we're playing with the feelings that come with that. So even if maybe with a regular client, you wouldn't feel comfortable going this deep into expressing what's going on for you, this is just getting you used to like flexing that muscle to see how that feels, and just become more comfortable with trying new things.
I'm typing the script in the chat here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a really fun, this script right here, you guys, is just, oh man, we've been having so much fun in the gym with it. And I've just been blown away with what is happening as a result. So let's jump into the room so you guys can have an experience. Katie, should we do?
I've got 2 rooms and then 3 of us will just, or 3 people to just stay in the main room.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great. How much time do we want to do? If we want to have time to do 2 different rounds, maybe 10 minutes each round?
10 minutes each person?
Yeah, that's a little quick. Is that too quick?
We did 7 last time. Did you feel
We
like
did
that wasn't
15
enough?
minutes. Let's do 15 minutes. So you'll have 7 minutes each with an extra minute to just, you know, do the shuffle.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna open the rooms for you
Okay,
guys.
before you go into your rooms, anybody have any questions on this exercise?
I'll be right back. Yeah,
Okay, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the chat when you're in your room, so you might want to just take a screenshot of this if you're concerned about forgetting it.
hang on, I'm gonna do that too.
I can broadcast it to you guys as well, I think.
Yeah, please. If I need to get my phone.
When I hear you say that, this comes up for me. You can say this comes up for me in different ways. I'm present to this. I notice this. I'm aware of this, but I'm only can be aware of my experience, what's going on over here in me.
Hey, Demi.
Mm-hmm.
When you say make an offer with, like, how quickly? Is it like, hey, I'm Rochelle, this is what I'm offering you? Like, immediately?
Immediately.
Conversation.
Jump
Okay.
right into your offer. This is just made up stuff. This is the role playing part. If you've got something you really are, you know, kind of playing around. We did this in the gym and I had a new idea of what I was like, I thought that was emerging. So it was the first time I voiced it and put a price to it. So it was kind of fun. So if you have that, you can do it. If you don't have it, do what you normally do. And if you don't have either of those, just make something up on the spot. So, is that okay? Everybody good with that?
Okay.
Does
So
everybody have a screenshot that wants it of the script?
I'll pop it into your rooms. I think I know how to do that
Oh, okay.
as a broadcast.
Right on. All right, you guys have fun. Am I in a room, Katie?
You're with me and Erica in here.
Rochelle, are you? Oh, there she goes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Hey, fun. You look
So
gorgeous,
fun.
by the way. I'm like, look like a goddess.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, you both always look gorgeous. So I was like, let me step it up. And also I have like 5 calls today. So I'm like, okay, we'll do something. We'll do a little more than the average day, which is
Oh, you look-
absolutely not us. So thank you.
Well,
I love this exercise.
I do too. It's so fun. So how do we, Katie, who's one of us will observe, one of us will play?
Yeah, sure. Let's Erica, why don't you start with yours just so we don't run out of time? I'll time keep for
Sure.
now.
Okay.
And why don't you make your offer to Demi?
Okay, cool. So let's see where I want to jump in here. it's so funny because I'm so not a just like improvise this, just jump in. I'm like, okay. So basically we would be working together over the course of 3 months and with biweekly sessions where we're really working on helping you overcome any resistance and self-doubt that's getting in the way while actually stepping back, really focusing on helping you get clarity in terms of what it is that you really want. I know you've had some clarity, but really kind of honing that in, and then also helping you overcome any actual resistance that's keeping you from then acting on that clarity and doing the thing. So it would look like us working together every other week, an hour session approximately. And you have me in between sessions through Voxer to share any insights, any challenges, be able to vent and really feel supported, because a lot of times the magic comes up in between the sessions. And so again, this would be for 3 months, and the price for this offer is $3,500. Is that something that you're interested in at this time?
I don't think so. Not at this time.
Okay. Can you tell me more? Why does it not feel like a fit right now?
So I'm going to pause to just kind of like, so, and invite
Bring
you.
me back. Yeah.
So we're going to now move into the
We want to
mini
use the script.
exercise. Yes.
Okay.
So you just are like, what are you taking in from what I said and me, and like, and you can sit with it and just notice. And then you're
Yes.
just going to say, when I hear you say that, here's what comes up for me. And I'm curious,
Okay.
when you hear me say that, what comes up for you?
Okay. All right. So really stick to it. So when I hear you say that, what comes up for me is, I'm going to assume that we've had previous conversation. What comes up for me is a little confusion, because it seemed like this is something that felt like a yes for you and that felt aligned with where you're heading right now. So when I hear you say that, I feel a sense of confusion. I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Oh, good. And then when you hear me say that, what
Oh
comes
yeah.
up for you? Mhm.
So when you hear me say that, what comes up for you?
Yeah, I noticed this ping in my body, this fear that I did something wrong, this worry that I got something wrong. And a little embarrassment about that kind of came up.
So I can't ask any clarifiers on. I gotta say when I hear you.
That's when but it's also a practice to like, how is that landing for you? Like kind of just being.
Well, it's hard to know when I have no context. That's the only thing. But I think I'm probably taking this way too I can be too literal sometimes. I gotta let go.
Go in your body. Go in your body.
Yes.
Like that's where I always start. I always notice the physical sensation, then I get curious about what's that, and then I'm just sharing that. And I'm doing it really truthfully, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me try that. So when I hear you say that you get this pinging sensation and that you feel like maybe you did something wrong, what comes up for me is immense compassion. Like I just feel this like I feel like I want to put my hand on my heart, because certainly that's not my intention for you to feel that way. And there is no wrong here. I want this to feel like whatever comes out of this is in your best interest, because that is why I'm here and what I'm here to do. So it's totally okay if it's a no for now or forever, because my whole intention is to help you feel into what would feel best for you, coming from you, to say yes to right now. And it might not be us working together at this time. So there's nothing that you could be wrong about. it's just an open conversation to help guide you to your yes and what is the next best thing for you to get the clarity that you want and help you go toward the things that you're craving in your life. So when you hear me say that, I'm curious what comes up for you.
When you talked about the compassion, I felt relief and gratitude. And then all the other stuff that you talked about, I just wanted to go back to the compassion. I wanted to go back, and I kind of got, my head wanted to, my head was there in the other part of the conversation, but my body wasn't. And I kept wanting to go back to the compassion with you.
Mm. Mm.
And I'm also noticing I'm a little nervous about, I feel vulnerable, a little vulnerability too.
So when I hear you say that, oh, this is what comes up for me is, me too, sister. Like, I feel vulnerable just doing this exercise. And two, just regarding the compassion piece, like that to me is kind of just, can't even say it's my ethos, it's where I come from, and it's just natural, I think, for all of us, but in particular, I want people to feel a sense of being nurtured, being heard, and having that sense of compassion for wherever they are, because it's all perfect and it's all good. So we can just get to play and live in that space. Now, shall I ask you the question, or do we switch?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. All right. So I am curious, when I say that, what comes up for you?
Sort of a craving to spend more time with you. It's this, like we didn't have enough time.
Mm. Absolutely.
But like that, there's an opening now to, like, you know, the curiosity and the, you know, feeling safer.
Yes. That's huge. Thank you for sharing that. Because I know we're simulating a like a fake conversation, but we're also
Totally.
super
And
being
this
real.
is reminding me, Katie, we were going to do a demo. I forgot. That probably would have been helpful. I think I forgot because we've been doing this exercise in the gym a lot, and a lot of gym members are here, but not all. And so you did
We'll
awesome.
get out of it.
Throw it into the fire like that. You did awesome, Eric.
Thank you. I'm like I said, sometimes I can be so literal. Do we want to switch? Do you want to have
do you want to
Cool.
feel what it's like on
the other
side?
way? Yeah.
Why don't you guys, I think you guys should switch and do it the other way. And next time we do one, I'll do it with somebody.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. You going away, Katie? No, just kidding.
Get out.
All right, Erica, I want to make you an offer, this new package I'm excited about. I'm doing, you know, supervision coaching sessions for enrollment. It's my favorite thing to do. I just love, I really especially love helping heart-centered coaches and service providers that struggle with the enrollment process, but they have a lot of value to bring. I really love helping them. And it's kind of one of my areas of expertise. And so I'm experimenting with what my capacity is. And I wanted to put this really, like, it's kind of a fun package together that I'm offering out is an enrollment supervision coaching session where you send me your recording. I watch it and I do a video feedback for you. And then we schedule a one-on-one to decompress. And you can do one or just whenever. And the price on those are $500 a piece. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
No, I don't think so at this time. Can I explain or no? This is so hard for me to like not break the rules. Okay, go.
When I hear you say that, Well, this is true. I kind of noticed that my offer was maybe a little wobbly. I'm noticing that I felt wobbly in my offer, and that kind of made sense that you would say no. And I'm curious what comes up for you when you hear me say that.
Well, for me, I totally see the value in your offer, and I didn't feel that it came out wobbly. For me, it would be more of a price thing of if it is in fact 500 per session. That's where the no came from for me. But otherwise, I'm noticing within me like a yes, like I would love that, like a buzzy kind of energy.
Hmm. When I hear you say that, I got really tickled and intrigued by this yes buzzy energy, and just noticed a lot of curiosity coming up around that. And I'm curious, when you hear me say that, what comes up for you?
I'm curious too. Like I'm curious if there would be a way to make it work potentially financially, or you know, if there would be I sense like possibility and opportunity either way, because I noticed like that I did resonate with the offer and that it would be something that could really benefit me. And I guess maybe it's a curiosity around, you know, you as a business owner have every right not to adjust your pricing for me. And so is there a way, I'm curious about, is there a way where I could see how that would align value wise, or how to make that work financially, either in my head or really on paper. But just generally there's just a sense of like, oh, let's play with this, let's continue talking, like a forward motion.
I heard you say that, I got even more curious. I noticed this even like bubbling up of even more curiosity about what money is to you.
Mm.
And I got kind of curious about possibility around it for you, like this, because I sort of noticed this, your capacity for awareness that, oh, but it's just about money. And what if I looked beyond that narrative? So I had this craving to like just peel behind the curtain and to see more of what money is for you. And I'm curious, when you hear me say that, what comes up for you?
I think what comes up for me is that I like being asked that question, that I think it's worth considering and looking at. And I noticed a little bit of myself that was like ready to go, no, we don't have to go into like the money story, because I got that, I know what that is. And it's more just like I'm really being intentional with my spending right now, because I have a budget at this time, and I'm not somebody who's afraid to invest in themselves by any stretch. But that it felt there was like I have to say, no, I know this is not, it's more of a practical thing rather than a money story thing. That's just what came up.
When I hear you say that, a craving to dive into this with more time emerged for me. Like, oh, I wonder that it's almost like a crack that is open. Like, it's almost like I came across this wall and there was this like crack, and I see this beautiful glen with like a castle. Like, I'm just like seeing these beautiful things, but it's just like, I'm like looking through the peephole is almost what it feeling is for me. And just this craving to look with you on in a spaciousness with no agenda and no attachment, with the offer off the table, but just to look. And I'm curious, when you hear me say that, what comes up for you?
Well, that the last bit about like putting the offer off the table for a second and just looking at what's there feels like relief, because in a way I feel a sense of like not wanting to disappoint you by saying no, because I don't actually want to say no, but I also feel like I want to stick to my boundaries regarding money right now. So I love the idea of just exploring with nothing on it. So it feels light, feels good.
When I hear you say that, I too feel relieved. I feel a relief, like, because that feels like there's more possibility.
Yeah.
To take expectation and agenda out.
Yes. That was so
Cool.
fun. Thank you, Demi. That was awesome. It was good being on the other side too, by the way.
Right?
Like,
It
like for me, like, yeah.
It helps you kind of get a like kind of feel of the rhythm, and it is it is a clunkiness. And I apologize for those of you that are not in the gym. We have been practicing this and playing with this in the gym all week, and Katie and I meant to do a demonstration, and I was like, oh, we forgot. So
I kind of love that we didn't though, because it just allowed so much like going off in different directions to see how that felt and see how that felt. And it became more of like a role play, but then pulling it back with what I'm noticing brought it back to a cool place. So and we're gonna obviously get you guys all to share about what you experienced. But Demi, what's really coming up for me that I would love, and because it's your insight, but I really noticed it in your and Erica's exchange, is this to this. And now everyone's like, what? But I would love it if you could speak to that, because
I just want to check in, because I want to check in with the people that I wasn't in their breakout rooms. Were you able to get a feel for the practice without the demonstration? Able to get it. Okay, cool. We've got a half hour left. If we want to do another one with a different partner, that'll be another 15 minutes. Maybe we'll do it shorter. We can do it like 12 minutes. So rather than sharing my insights, I'd like to hear yours, if that's okay. Like, what did you notice about this practice? Barbara?
I can just see how it's going to be so helpful. And I think cause both of us to still feel good about the possibilities in the future by like feeling into their no. And I love I love the power of mirror coaching. I think it also helps somebody see like we're in partners here. Like this isn't you bring in your broken down, busted up car and I'm the mechanic, I fix it and send you on your way. Like it's a collaboration. This journey is together. So I share, you share, and then we look at what's in the container that we have jointly created. So I like it.
Cool. Yeah. And it really honors a collaborative process. And you know what Katie was pointing out, this was my experience of doing in the gym, is like, it felt like we started like this. And the process of just sharing, when I hear you say that, this is what I notice. And I'm curious, like there is such a dance, in my opinion, of like maybe starting like this and then being like this. And the irony is like, clear back, Barbara, when I was doing sales at Wealth Factory, that's what they're like, the sales training is like, you got to be on the same side as it's like, so well, what do I need to say to get on the same side? And it's like, I never felt it, but this is a way of just honoring separate realities, sharing what ours is, and giving space for the other person too. Like to me, it just feels like such a softening of acceptance and okayness, that it's like we can go like this and we just are finding our way to this.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Question.
Yeah, Bernie.
Something that came up to me is that, well, with this group, then there's an openness to to share and you know, respond to the questions. But I can imagine there's some people who they might get the walls up. Like, why are you asking me these questions? Are you trying to make my no into a yes? So that was something that was a thought that occurred to me. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that's why I love, like,
Okay.
that's why I think even practicing this more is a good idea. And in my opinion, the reason I offered that context setup to like share things of like, this is just my experience. See, the more that I've practiced doing that in the context, I can say things like, I'm not sure why this is coming up for me or why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. But as I'm with you, I just feel like you have walls up. That could just be me and my own, you know, thinking. But I'm curious what you hear, what comes up for you when you hear me say that. I mean, we did this mirror coaching practice we did in the first without the no in the coaching gym. And I think we could probably, well, that's another, when we first did it, we were all just blown away. And one of the things that everybody said is like, it's wow, it's amazing how quickly you get to honesty. And that honesty just does something. And it really has this, in my experience, is it just is a profound connection, especially when the other person is owning their experience. I mean, I did it the first time with one of our members, and she asked me a question, and I was saying something that sounded really good, and she said to me, I'm not sure, but I just feel this constriction in my throat. And I was like, oh, you just nailed me. You just nailed me. But I honestly couldn't even see it. And she was just, she didn't know why that was happening for her. So there's something really, you know, Bernie, I think that if you play with this a little bit, and we'll do another breakout room so you can play with another partner, but for a people pleaser, it really works wonders because I can say anything if I'm owning my experience and I'm coming from love. Because see, the root of a people pleaser is just we want to love and serve. We just want to, you know, we want to really serve that person. So it offers kind of a context setup, and our best tool we have, which is our bodies and our own experience. We're not, so this is just using a very somatic reflection of reflecting what our experience is. And that just has no judgment on it. See, if I'm giving you my observation laced with judgment, I mean, that's right. That's a landmine for your mind to just go off on all these things. But if I'm just sharing an objective experience of taking you in and hearing what you said and acknowledging that it's just my experience, doesn't mean it's true necessarily. It's just what's coming up through my separate reality as I take you in. And I'm curious what comes up for you when you hear me say that. It's really, I mean, that's what I like. This is my new favorite practice too in the gym that we've been doing. I love it.
Well, and Demi, you know, I have to admit that when I see you do it, I'm like, wow, look at Demi do it. Like you have this way of saying things where I in no way think that I caused that feeling in you. And maybe just because you're owning it so much. But I know that I don't always show up that clean. And sometimes when I say it, I look at the face of the other person and they're looking at me like, did I just make you feel that? And so if it doesn't feel like something that you've got a really good grip on and feels really clean for you, maybe you just use it a little bit with clients, or maybe you just barely scratch the surface at first, because, you know, and I think maybe just recognizing that it's just something that we're inviting more of in. You're not necessarily going to go and like lead with that for an entire client conversation if it still feels really unsafe to you or uncomfortable or just not intuitive, right? But there is something about being able to, even just if you brought this in once during a coaching conversation where you really just felt what was coming out of their mouth and what you were hearing didn't match up, and you're like, when I hear you say that, I'm just feeling this. And it's, you know, maybe not something where there would be a lot of potential for confusion about them taking on your feelings. It could be really powerful. but just lace it in to the degree to which it feels right to you. And don't let the fact that Demi is super masterful at this scare you into thinking you need to do it more.
You know, when I hear you say that, Katie.
Ah,
No, but when I hear you say that, I'm really honestly confused because I've seen you do this exercise and I think you do it just as masterfully. And I've seen other people in the gym do it and they just look as masterful. I think it's just surprising. It feels surprising to hear somebody talk so honestly and own their experience in a clean way.
Yeah.
And for me, like when I was, you know, in the gym the first time we did it, when that person did it to me, it was like I noticed the cleanness with which she offered it gave me permission to either go there or not.
Cool. Yeah.
She really brought something up and it was like very vulnerable. It's like, oh, I think you're on to something. And there was a like I had to check in. Do I want to go there or not? I felt super safe with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something there. But I could have said, no, I don't, nothing comes up for me. So it kind of is this really wonderful dance of also constantly permission seeking, not taking the other person anywhere they're not ready to go. And that's why I want to bring it back. Everything that we're doing is over the umbrella of what does it mean to serve this person powerfully. So I can notice things in my experience. Like Erica was doing it with her. And, you know, when I was the leader, the coach, I started to notice some vulnerability coming up for me, but it didn't seem in service to share that at that moment. I shared it with you before when I was the other person. So it's not that I'm incapable of sharing that I feel vulnerable, but I'm also filtering what I'm sharing of like what's in service to this person, but I'm very cautious to make judgments on that too. Because I don't want to, I'm very cautious of my mind saying, oh, you know, sharing that you're vulnerable isn't in service to them. Is that really because I'm soothing my own insecurity, or it's really not in service to them? So very often I just use context to deliver. I'm not sure why this is coming up for me. This could be about me, but my commitment is to serve you as powerfully as I can. And that means to me not holding back anything that I might think might be helpful for you, even if, especially if I feel a little intimidated to share it. Are you okay with that? Do you want to hear it? See, I can say all of that, and then it's just whatever I'm saying is super clean. I can take it or leave it.
And I think maybe one of the things to preface as we go back into the next round is try not to see this as a role playing. You know, you're not necessarily trying to deal with objections or answer what the concerns might be of the person that has said no. You're simply going into your body and seeing what's coming up for you right now in this moment. We're not giving you a role playing exercise so that you can get better at speaking to the no after. I mean, that might happen inevitably by just feeling more comfortable, but we're not giving you like a script or offering you an opportunity to role play that so much as we are an opportunity to feel into what it feels like after you get that no, and to be able to communicate that and create a conversation around that. And Demi, correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I mean, we're exploring, you know, what does it mean to serve somebody powerfully beyond the no? We're just seeing this vast arena of possibility of service beyond the no. And this little exercise is what we thought might be kind of something to kind of percolate it for all of us, because as you start to kind of play with what are the energies that are here beyond the no, it's like, it's just amazing. And what can come up and be seen and what there is to see and what occurs to us in real, authentically, like what's real. And when we share what's real and we have no attachment to where it goes, it's just amazing where it goes. So shall we jump into another practice?
yeah.
We'll try to get you with a different partner this time. Is that possible?
We've got everyone with different partners.
Oh, you're awesome. Okay. You can just
Yeah,
kind of.
go ahead into your rooms. I'm gonna give you 6 minutes each and then we'll come back in. The last person will get 5 minutes, and then when I hit the come back button, you get 60 more seconds, so that's still part of your time, okay?
Ooh, Barbara. I was actually thinking, I was going to say, you know, if you've had a long-term client, you could do this just as a game. And I was like, sorry, I didn't know about this when we were working together, but I was like, it'd be so fun to do this with you.
And here we are.
Katie's going to do it this time. We'll do it another time. Katie's going to play this time. And,
Okay.
Demi will observe.
huh? Yeah, I'm going to observe, and we need to do this sometime, Barbara.
Okay, sounds good. We're doing the exact same thing we did before, right?
That's something.
We
Uh-huh.
are, yeah. Just, taking what we learned from the first one or integrating, or, I think some people did it a little bit like a pitch. And so it's just an opportunity to do it again and deepen that maybe that willingness to drop into what's arising for you.
Okay. And I'm guessing I'm making the offer, so Demi observes me. Is that right?
Yeah, so you make the offer to me and I
Okay.
will respond.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go off camera.
Okay. So
Katie,
Katie,
do you want me to time keep though?
Oh yeah, I'll still time keep.
Okay.
Okay.
Katie, it's so great to see you again this morning. I have really good news. Based on our conversation and what you've shared with me, and to my experience, I am 100% confident that I can help you. And before we go into the details, I just wanted to check in with you. Like, how are you feeling about where we're at in this process of discovery of working together?
Good.
Okay. Is there more to it than good?
I feel like I'd like to know more about what you have in mind.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so here's what it looks like. We'll be together for 9 months. We'll coach together 7 of those months. And the reason why there's that time frame is like it gives you time to have a vacation, it gives me time to have a vacation, and also for us not to feel like, "Oh my gosh, I got to be on a coaching call today." We just know we're going to be on this journey for 9 months, and in those 9 months, we'll meet together for an hour a week. If we need extra time, we can certainly build that in as we progress. You'll also come here for an Alaskan experience, which really gives us an opportunity to see a fish out of water. And so many clients like you have really appreciated that. It also includes me coming to observe you in practice so I can give you feedback in your life too. So I'll be observing you in your personal life and your professional life. Like we've talked about, that it feels like they're worlds apart. So I want to help you make sense of that. Then you'll also be a part of the collective genius of my entire private coaching community in a once a month mastermind. So your investment is 125,000. You'll save 10 grand when you make that full investment. So that'd be 115 within our first 90 days. So our first 90 days is our opportunity as well for you to see how much momentum you can gain and how much you can earn in our partnership together. So how's it sound?
I'm gonna have to pass for now, but
Okay.
I appreciate the offer.
Okay. Would it be okay? I know this is maybe different than you've perhaps experienced with other coaches. Would it be okay with you to share like what's coming up for me inside of me as I take in your no?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had that happen before? Has a coach shared that with you?
No.
Okay. So what's coming up for me is like, I wonder what happened. Like I felt like we were just on such a similar page. And as I was creating your proposal, I was like, man, this just feels like her best outfit ever. Like, have you ever worn that outfit where you can stand up a little bit more proud and like you just feel good about yourself. Like that's how I felt. And as I say how I'm feeling on the inside of me, which is what I created based on my interpretation of your no, when I share what my experience is like right now, what comes up for you?
Yeah. I feel a little bit sad, like I've disappointed you.
Oh, tell me more.
I like the idea of the package, but I don't feel confident that I can do it. I feel like you're capable of helping me get there, but I don't know. I doubt my own ability to really make that transformation. And the cost is a little edgy for me.
Okay. Do you want to take a look deeper into that together?
Sure.
Barbara, I'm going to chime in just to invite you to stay on the script. Because this is where, so when I hear you say that, this is what I notice. And
Okay.
I'm curious when you hear me say that, what you notice.
Okay.
Just see what that does.
Okay. So when I hear you say that, like first, it makes me really happy that you also feel safe in sharing what your experience is. That, like I want to pat both of us on the back of like, hey, we created a psychologically safe environment for vulnerability. And I don't find that super common just on an everyday basis. So congratulations to us. The other thing I feel when you say that, um, that you're sad that you've let me down is, that's really interesting that Katie's having that experience from what I've said. And my history would be that I would take that personally. And instead I'm like, that's really interesting. I wonder what else is there. So when I say that, what comes up for you when I share those things?
I feel a bit relieved to know that you didn't take it personally. That makes me feel better. And I feel more connected to you.
Nice. Love that.
I think we have to switch though. Sorry. Or at
Yeah.
least in the rooms they have to switch. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
just okay. Thanks, Barbara. That's good play. Okay, so I'm gonna do this on you. I'm gonna play. So thanks for joining me today. I've really been enjoying and loving our explorations over the last few weeks and getting to know you and getting to know what's really in your heart and what feels like it would be powerful for you moving forward. And I've created an offering that I feel like is in service to what I've witnessed in you and in service to really lighting a spark and fanning that flame and growing that fire in the things that just look like they want to come through you into the world. But of course, working together is iterative. And so I want to propose something that I've designed just for you based on the time that we've spent together. And I'm also open to your feedback and interpretation to tweak it as we go. But I'm going to share with you what I think would be really powerful right now. And we can have a conversation about whether that feels like a fit for you, and what it might look like to bring that into the world. How does that sound?
Safe.
Okay, awesome. So I'll tell you a little bit more. So based on our conversations and everything that we've been exploring lately, I feel like a 12-month commitment would probably be the perfect container to get you from where you are to where you want to go. there's just a beautiful sort of tea steeping component that happens when we're able to take our time and really allow transformation to unfold at its own pace while we're still moving things along intentionally. So those 12 months would include a 90-minute session every 2 weeks. It would include access to me through tech support, TEXT, texting. But it would also include 2 adventures. And these adventures would be in service to mind, body, and spirit. They would be adventures that we co-create together to get you out of your natural habitat and into an environment that feels conducive for spiritual, physical, and emotional growth. And so a lot of the work we're going to be doing together is slowly removing any of the barriers that might be there in place of you really stepping into your power around what it is that you want to create in your life. And we've kind of gone through that in our session, so there's some clarity around that. So the price for this this offering would be $80,000, and I'm curious if that's something that sounds good to you.
Does the 80,000 include the adventures, like all of the cost of the adventures too?
It does.
And like my airfare, hotel, everything?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really good. I just can't do 80,000 this year.
Okay. When I hear you say that, I'm going to just share what's coming up for me. And I want you to know that you in no way can make me feel anything because I'm an autonomous human being. But I'm going to share what's coming up because I think it might be in service to us having a deeper conversation. How does that sound?
Yeah.
So when I hear you say that, I actually feel quite peaceful. There's a sense that that decision is coming from a place of grounding and knowing things. And I'm curious, when I share that, what does that bring up for you?
I'm glad you didn't try to talk me into it or, shame me for saying not right now. And it feels good that I'm not.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting journey into BrainCentric's desktop neuroscience. Handy bits of brain science that you can apply immediately after watching this video.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Now I gotta find you. There you are. And it feels really good that I don't feel like I've used you. Because you've already helped me so much and we haven't even like exchanged money or anything yet. And so yeah, that's how I'm feeling.
When I hear you say that, I feel a deep sense of alignment within myself. And I feel a curiosity to explore more around what might be powerful for you, even if that doesn't look like coaching with me right now. When I say that, what do you notice in yourself?
I wish I had $80,000 to give you today.
Well, when I hear you say that, it makes me smile inside. Not because I'm going to get $80,000, but just because I feel like our hearts are dancing together and they can see the possibility. And I'm curious what comes up in you when I share that.
I guess what comes up for me is I wonder why Katie doesn't feel good about getting $80,000 from me.
When I hear you say that, I want to clarify that I would feel great about getting it, but it wouldn't be the thing that was the most important to me in that moment, like the most exciting. Cool. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for playing, Barbara. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay.
Ooh, so fun. So I'm going to turn the time over to you guys to share. What did you notice? What emerged for you?
I noticed that I understood the assignment differently. Which actually ended up making my conversation with Cece make way more sense once I realized that I was doing it, that I understood it differently. So for some reason, I thought that when, like, right after someone says no, and you're like, oh, this is what I'm noticing. I don't know why. I thought that's when the role play ended. Like, I'm saying no. Okay, so then, like, as like now we're like coach to coach, like, okay, when you said no, this is what I noticed in my body, and not as like we're still like in the role play. And so I realized it like mid conversation with Bernie, and I was like, oh, I don't know why this happened, but this is how I understood it.
I did mention that we're learning as we go in these open practices. We will be doing demos every time from now on, Kitty. Don't do so.
But I think there's value in however you practiced it. Like we came up with an exercise that we thought would be helpful, but you've just had 20 minutes or 40 minutes of experience just getting to explore around what it feels like to get a no. And there's going to be seeds that you've planted from that are going to sprout in you over time, or come and join the gym for a free 7-day membership and play with us more in the gym, but like, whatever it is, there's not really a right and wrong. There's just the way we imagined it and then the way you did it, which may have been similar, may not have been similar. Anyone else want to share?
It absolutely gets easier, clearer, easier with practice. And a lot of the automatic, oh, they said no reactions I have are no longer showing up like they did it the first couple times, which makes it's easier for me to actually stay present and hold their highest good rather than my own. So that's a huge gift right there.
That's the whole reason we created the gym, Cece, is that, I mean, I had talked about serving beyond the no for years. So much talk, and conversations, and insights did emerge about it. But there's just something about, if you want to learn to ride a bike, just get on and wobble. Get on and wobble, get on and wobble. Just something about it that then changes our felt experience. Yeah, and you guys, the gym is something that we created as a place to practice. You can practice in a myriad of different ways. You don't have to join the gym to practice. This exercise, you can grab, partners. You can also, even long-term clients, like, hey, there's this game I wanted to see about playing with you. You can, create any kind of contact setup for it you want.
Yeah, well, we're at time, and I just want to acknowledge everyone's schedules because I know, we've been notorious about going over a little bit. But for those of you that aren't gym memberships right now, I just want to let you know that we're working on creating a community area within our Kajabi membership site where it's just for our broader community. So you won't have access to all the coaching gym stuff, but there'll be a chat, there will be a place to ask questions, to engage. And we'll start posting these as meetups in there too. So it'll be really easy to keep track of them into the future where they're scheduled. So we're really excited to offer that to you guys soon. So just stay tuned.
Yes. And one more thing, as part of non-member community, like if you want, as a non-member, if you want to get coached, we're on Thursdays, we often look for, we're always looking for kind of fresh meat in the membership to bring in, somebody new. So reach out to me or Katie if you'd like. If you want to be coached in the gym as a coach, that would be Tuesdays. If you have any people in your world, we're always looking for people who don't identify as a career as a coach to be coached on Thursdays. So it's a great place if you have anybody in your life that wants to come and have some free coaching sessions. You can let us know about those too.
Yeah, people that are always hitting you up for free coaching and you're like, I don't have any more time for you. Send them to us. We will tenderize them.
Totally. Yes, yes. Also, if there's somebody that you want to coach in the gym and you want to get feedback on, let us know. We'll set that up for you as well.